Leather Resolene is an acrylic-based surface finish that provides some water resistance, scratch resistance, shine, and dries flexible. It's most often used to protect leather items or to cover home-dyed leather items to help reduce the potential for the dye rub-off onto clothing and furniture and other things during use. It's usually available in several colors: black, like a white clear, and a brown. As an example, here's a belt that has had Resolene applied to it. And if you look, it's got a little bit of a slight shine to it. And this was also a home dyed belt. And so this helps reduce rub-off tremendously because you have that coating of Resolene on top rather than direct exposure to those fibers with the dye in place. So what's in it? In Resolene, we have the Fiebing's version is around 74% water, around 24% acrylic, and that's going to be a pigmented PMMA, and then around 2% alcohol, and that's most often going to be a propanol. So it's primarily a water-based finish that leaves behind a really smooth, shiny, pigmented acrylic surface. So let's take a look up close. So here we've got our bottle of Resolene, and then something actually cool I want to show you. I've used this before, and you can see here when it dried, this is a very plasticky acrylic. I mean, it's literally acrylic. So it's cool. We can kind of pull that off, and you can see how it kind of dried like that. So there you go. A little bit of substance analysis for you. So anyway, let's continue our looking at it. So we'll pour a little bit in here. And if you look, it's going to be relatively viscous, right? It's kind of moving around there. And here we've got a wool dauber, and we'll kind of put it on, and you can see a little bit how it reacts to things. So it's relatively water-like. Again, it's around 74% water. So we'll get it on this dauber, and then let's spread it on our leather here. You can even see as it goes on, it's going to absorb in there. And that's what's happening, right? So we saw that when we opened that jar, we saw how that acrylic was there. So essentially the water is being used as a carrier for that acrylic. And that's going to help it seep into the fibers. And then when it dries, the water will come up and out, and it's going to leave that acrylic in there on the surface. And so there's different applicators that you could use. For example, if you wanted to use just your typical white cotton cloth, you could do that as well and kind of get a different kind of surface application going. So there's all different techniques you can test with, but essentially it's going to go on like that. And then once it dries, if you do a good job of keeping it smooth, then it'll look nice and dry and clear, almost as if it's not on there, especially if you're using it over a leather that is of a similar color. You know, like if you've dyed a leather belt black and then you're putting the Resolene on it, it should barely be noticeable. And you can see this is maybe about a minute or so later, not long after. It's pretty dry to the touch. And so that'll vary, of course, by temperature and things, and wouldn't really usually touch it that soon, but wanted to show you that even that quickly, it dries pretty fast. So when Resolene is helpful for crafting, so this could be helpful for a few different situations. If you're looking for a smooth surface that provides some water resistance, that can be great to use it for. If you're looking to kind of produce a subtle shine, it's another option for it as well. And if you're looking for something that's a little bit of a more synthetic type finish than a wax, the Resolene can be great because it does have that acrylic in it. Another tip, if you want to thin it out while you're applying it, maybe you want a bit of a thinner coating, you can basically just dilute it with water. This is obviously a very small batch that we're using from before, so you could use some more. Just measure it out and you can figure out your ratio. For some people it's going to be 50-50, Resolene and water. Some people are going to be 25. So it really depends on what you want to mix it with. You could also do the same thing with alcohol as well and kind of thin it out a little bit that way, and then figure out what's going to match well for that specific leather good that you're using, and then the look, and feel and finish that you want from that mixture. So when compared to other leather finishes, just like most, your preference really is going to drive a lot in terms of if you're going to enjoy using it, how it's going to come out, how you apply it, things like that. So maybe give it a try and see if it fits into your preferred aesthetic or project finishes. And there you have it. a look into leather Resolene. It may work for something great for what you're trying to do. There's definitely a lot of customization, options to it. And so if you're looking for something that can offer those qualities, this can be great to check out for your next project. If you have any questions or related experience that you want to share, definitely let us know. And there you have it. Until next time.